The Jimmy Olsen Radio Network.
Spinal adjustments provided by Dr. Chad Rolfson. The Spinal Tuning Chiropractic Center is a Des Moines area low flat fee per month unlimited chiropractic care practice. When life happens, just adjust. Schedule today at spinaltuning.com. Barbecue provided by Kenny's Rib Wagon, catering ribs for your pleasure and serving daily at Plaza Pub, 62nd and Douglas in Des Moines, across from Merle Hay Mall. Find Kenny's Rib Wagon on Facebook. Welcome to Storytime. The Elves and the Shoemaker. There was once a shoemaker who thought, no fault of his own, had become so poor that at last he had only leather enough left for one pair of shoes. At evening, he cut out the shoes which he intended to begin upon the next morning. And since he had a good conscience, he lay down quietly, said his prayers, and fell asleep. In the morning, when he prayed as usual, and was preparing to sit down to work, he found the pair of shoes standing finished on his table. He was amazed and could not understand in the least. He took the shoes in his hand and examined them more closely. They were so neatly sewn that not a stitch was out of place, and were as good as the work of a master hand. Soon after, a purchaser came in, and he was much pleased with the shoes. He paid more than the ordinary price for them, so that the shoemaker was able to buy leather for 2 pairs with the money. He cut them out that evening, and the next day, the fresh courage was about to go work, but he had no need to, for when he got up, the shoes were finished, and buyers were not lacking. These gave him so much money that he was able to buy leather for 4 pairs of shoes. Now, early the next morning, he found the 4 pairs finished, and so it went on. When he cut out at evening was finished in the morning, so that he was soon again in comfortable circumstances, and became a well-to-do man. Now, it happened one evening, not long before Christmas, when he had cut one shoes as usual that he had for his wife. How would it be if I were to sit up tonight to see who it is that lends us such an helping hand? Well, the wife agreed, lighted a candle, and they hid themselves in the corner of the room behind the clothes which they were hanging there. Midnight came. 2 little naked men, who sat down on the shoemaker's table, took up the cutout work and began with their tiny fingers to stitch, sew, and hammer so neatly and quietly that the shoemaker could not believe his eyes. They did not stop till everything was quite finished and stood complete on the table. Then they ran swiftly away. The next day, the wife said, "The little men have made us rich, and we ought to show our gratitude. They run about with nothing on, and must freeze with cold. Now I will make them little shirts, coats, waistcoats, and hose, and will even knit them stout stockings, and you shall make each of them a pair of shoes." The husband agreed, and at evening, when they had everything ready, they laid out the presents on the table and hid themselves to see how the little men would behave. At midnight, they came skipping in, and were able to set to work. But instead of the leather already cut out, they found the charming little clothes. At first they were surprised, then excessively delighted. With the greatest speed, they put on and smoothed down the pretty clothes, singing, "Now we're dressed so fine and neat, why cobble more for others' feet?" Then they hopped and danced about and leaped over chairs and tables and out the door. Henceforth, they came back no more. But the shoemaker fared as well as long as he lived, and had good luck in all his undertakings. The Elves and the Shoemaker. If you enjoyed this story, share it on social media, both Facebook and Twitter, where you can also find me at My Buddy Jimmy. Also on YouTube at My Buddy Jimmy 101.
The Jimmy Olsen Radio Network.